So I'm looking forward to having this conversation today about African Americans and mental health.
A lot in our culture think that you can just pray things away. And I believe in prayer, no doubt. But I also understand that not one miracle in the Bible occurred without the person needing the miracle taking action.
What's difficult sometimes is probably reflecting on being a community member who may feel like you've lost your role and you need help reconnecting.
We are such a strong, resilient people. And sometimes because of that, we have this, or oftentimes I think, there's this stoicism about us. And it's like we're not allowed to be upset, we're not allowed to have depression or anxiety.
So I'm excited to sit down with my brother, with my sister, talk about mental health in our Black community. Let's make it happen. That's a great question. And since I'm the least among these two, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead first. Well, Dr. Logan, why don't you start out with that, if you don't mind?
Okay. So my why, I mean, and when it comes to mental health in the Black African American community, I'm reminded of a healthy cultural mistrust. We historically, Black and brown people have not trusted mental health and medical field, and have had good reason to, have had very good reason to. And we can think about, slavery and how people were treated, how, the idea that we don't feel any pain. So I think just the visual of us, the visual of people who look like those African American community, who represent that community, it releases some of that stigma automatically. And we have just never been given permission to not be stoic and to not just be like it doesn't bother us. Our men haven't, our women haven't, our children have it. And I do think that it is hurting us. It's killing us. So being able to have some permission, and I think with permission comes words. Like there's so many people I've worked with that don't know how to put words to what's happening, and words are so powerful, and we can heal through that. So that's a huge part of my why.
Shahid, you want to go next, brother Shahid? You want to go ahead?
I appreciate the invitation, Pastor. As you said earlier, Dr. Logan, there is a mistrust there because there's equally so a mistreatment, right? That's either driven by racism and the mistreatment, misdiagnosing, and the incarceration of, folks who are copper, Black, people of color, whatever it is that they would coin us as. In any time frame, our mental health was usually leveraged against us to really be the basis of the science and laws that existed to enslave us.
Right.
It was considered a disorder to want to be free, to run, to flee, all those things. It was a disorder to not want to be anything other than what, a white slave master wanted you to be.
Yeah.
And that's the genesis of this industry. And go figure, with that genesis, we don't account for all the hurts, the pains, everything that's inhumane that's gone into this. And mind you, what I'm saying isn't like, that's the way it is for everyone. It's just my reflection.
Such wonderful answers to that question. I guess for me, guys, it's I'm coming from a a Christian point of view, because I'm a pastor of a church, but I'm going to tell you the mistake that our people make. They think that you can just pray mental illness away. You can't. You can't. There's no indication. You just pray something away. If we study the Bible, if we study the life of Christ, who I'm a believer, I'm a Christ follower, there's always some action that had to take place before the healing and before the miracle. But when Brother Shahid said that it was viewed as a mental illness to want to be free, right?
Yeah.
So if I flip that, let me ask you a question now. Like, is it a mental illness? Do you guys think it's part of a mental illness to want to be accepted by them in the worst way? Because I never really have, but because I didn't, I was always unruly. They called me unruly. They called me angry. And so with all of that, and in raising Black males in my family, and now my grandkids are going through that, they have this desire to be accepted by this culture, by this people that really don't. If you can't dribble a basketball or catch a football or sing or dance, they're not really worried about your intellectual properties and how intelligent you can be. But Bro Shahid, when you said that, man, that it was considered a mental illness to want to be free, they still think there's something wrong with that.
Pastor Graves, if I may, I hear you pose the question, is it crazy to want to stay or be a part? And I go one above that, and that I think it's colonial.
Yeah.
When we think racism and its effects, and its dehumanizing effects and so many things, racism is still a tool. You know what I mean? There's a whole shed in which that tool has come from. And I feel it's colonization, and colonization is, it doesn't look good, feel good, and it's inhumane for any that are the perpetrators of it, or those who wind up experiencing it as victims or whatever the case may be. It distracts us, I feel, or I believe, from acknowledging that, it can't heal the pain that it's caused. It's going to take us returning to a certain way of actually being with each other. Something that, again, that was said by you, Dr. Logan, was this idea of permission. Imagine us being from cultures that heavily relied upon being seen, being brought into life, being given permission. And then when you fundamentally deprive people of that really crucial and critical cultural value, spiritual value, they're lost.
Yeah.
The word that comes to mind is validation. And it's important for us to give ourselves permission to try to find what our words are, to name what's happening, because it happens all the time and we're told it's not real. And it is real. We don't need that validation, I think.
For me, I get a chance to watch people heal together. And that's because we don't brush things under the rug. If a brother or sister are struggling in any area, let's talk about it. Let's deal with it. Let's try to point you in the right direction. I just think that our healing, our mental healing, is not something that can be done alone. All of these things that we're talking about, we've never talked about before. And that's what's celebratory about this conversation, is that now we can be better parents, we can be better grandparents, we can be better aunts and uncles. We can say, wait a minute, they need this conversation right now. Because I remember when I needed it and it wasn't available. And so that, I think that's the beginning part of us really recognizing the village is going to have to take part of it. You have to be in a community of people to really help us get to that place to where we are dealing with our mental illness and are becoming mentally healthy as we're walking this journey and in this journey of life. So